It's intensely personal. It's getting more personal. They're going to discover more information that's going to make them angry. They're out to salvage their reputation, so there's not going to be an easy way to walk away from this and say, okay, let's just call it a day.
Blake Lively thought she could outsmart the legal system.
Juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
She thought that with enough Hollywood connections, media manipulation, and legal tricks, she could walk into court, play the victim, and come out victorious. But now, her entire case is falling apart. The lies are unraveling. The judge sees right through her. And the worst part? The receipts are coming out.
She wants different rules for her than she wants for Baldoni and his team, which I don't think the judge will agree with.
A leaked audio recording has just blown the case wide open, revealing the kind of corruption and power, plays that Hollywood never wanted you to see. Blake didn't expect to get caught. She didn't think anyone would question her claims. But now, she and Ryan Reynolds are watching their entire legal strategy collapse in real time. And trust me, it's bad.
So her testimony is super important in this case. And if you can show the jury that she's lied, juries don't like liars.
For months, Blake and Ryan have been pushing their side of the story, acting like they're the victims in this legal battle. But the truth? It was never about justice. It was about control. Because a bombshell audio recording featuring Ari Emanuel, one of the most powerful agents in Hollywood, has just confirmed that Justin Baldoni was blacklisted from projects for one reason: he associated with the wrong people. And who are those wrong people? Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Think about what that means for a second. This isn't just a Hollywood feud. This isn't just a messy lawsuit. This is actual proof that Blake and Ryan allegedly used their industry power to get someone erased from the industry. And it gets even worse.
Well, actually, what I said last time is, of the 92-8 split, which is 92% of cases settle and 8 don't, this does meet criteria of being within that 8%. Because it's intensely personal.
The leaked audio was originally featured in an episode of the Freakonomics podcast, a podcast known for breaking down hidden power structures in business and entertainment. But right after it started making headlines, the episode mysteriously disappeared. Now, call it a coincidence if you want, but let's be real. Hollywood doesn't work like that. You don't just lose an episode exposing one of the biggest Hollywood power players. You don't just accidentally remove evidence that confirms one of the biggest blacklisting scandals the industry has ever seen. Somebody made that happen. Somebody pulled strings behind the scenes. Because if they have the power to make an entire podcast episode vanish, what else have they been covering up?
And, so I think there could be some argument about whether it was leaked and shouldn't have been leaked and should they have the information or what it may be. But no matter what happens, this is a damning quote.
Here's where things go from bad to catastrophic for Blake. Because not only has her legal team been exposed for manipulating the industry, but the judge is finally done playing along. Judge Lyman has now officially called out Blake's entire lawsuit for what it is: a PR stunt. This case was never about real legal claims. It was about controlling the media. It was about spinning a narrative. And now, with this leaked audio proving that industry manipulation was at play, the foundation of her case is falling apart. And the best part, even her own PR team knows it.
This dispute, these words that were said by Lively's side had a clear, immediate negative impact on Baldoni's book.
The moment this audio leaked, Blake's entire legal strategy fell apart. Because if there's one thing judges hate in a trial, it's liars. Legal experts have already pointed out that if just one part of Blake's testimony is found to be false, the jury has every right to throw out her entire statement. And guess what? She's already been caught lying multiple times. This case is no longer about who's right or wrong. It's about who has credibility. And right now, Blake Lively has none. But instead of accepting reality, she's doubling down because she knows that if this case goes to trial, she's going to lose, and she's running out of time to cover it up. But here's the thing, this is only the beginning, because in court, once the lies start unraveling, it doesn't stop. And Blake is about to get hit with something even worse.
But what I think we're seeing now with this quote is WME absolutely got rid of him because of these things that were said. And so now he's got a clear line to get damage support.
Blake Lively thought she had everything under control. She thought she could rewrite history, twist the narrative, and manipulate the media into painting her as the victim. But now, her case is crumbling faster than her Hollywood reputation. The judge sees through her, the evidence is turning against her, and worst of all, She just got caught in the biggest lie of her career, because remember how she claimed she had a shocking video that would prove her case once and for all? Well, it finally leaked, and let's just say it didn't show what she wanted people to believe.
I think this is inching towards that percentage of lawsuits that don't settle. We could very well see a trial in this case.
For months, Blake's legal team has been hyping up a damning video, a clip that was supposedly so disturbing, so incriminating, that it would end Justin Baldoni's career. She described it in gruesome detail, making it seem like undeniable proof that she was telling the truth. But then, the full video leaked. And guess what? It showed Blake smiling, laughing, completely comfortable. The disturbing scene she claimed was so traumatizing turned out to be nothing like she described. She wasn't trapped. She wasn't uncomfortable. She was fully participating, and in an instant, her entire story collapsed.
If you have somebody who has a significant amount of power in the industry and has the ability to tell stars not to go on your podcast in the future, and has general ability to make life uncomfortable for you and ask for a favor, you're more inclined to do it, right?
Instead of owning up to the lie, Blake did what she always does. She changed the story. Suddenly, she claimed that Baldoni wasn't actually in character during the scene and that she was being forced to act like she liked him. Isn't that literally her job? Since when do actors sue each other for pretending to like their co-stars? If this logic made any sense, Leonardo DiCaprio would be suing every actress he's ever done a romance scene with. The excuse was so ridiculous, even legal experts started openly laughing at it. And here's where things get even worse for Blake, because in court, lying isn't just embarrassing, it's case-destroying.
So yes, does he have the power to do it? Yes. And I think a lot of people who are even a lot less powerful than Ari Emanuel would have the power to do that, so that doesn't surprise me.
Here's how bad it is for Blake. If a jury decides that just one part of her testimony is false, they can throw out the entire thing. And at this point, she's been caught lying multiple times. She changed her story about the video. She added new accusations out of nowhere in her amended lawsuit. She pushed for 180 pages of nonsense legal claims, when most cases like this are only 20 to 30 pages long. And guess what? Judges and juries hate that. Her case isn't about justice. It's about controlling the public narrative, and Judge Lyman sees right through it. But instead of backing down, Blake is making things even worse, because now she's doubling down on legal tricks that scream desperation.
Oh, just from a PR standpoint, if they both struck an agreement and walked away, that would be the smartest. Because it's not going to get it was never going to get any better from Lively after when she filed that California Civil Rights Division pre-complaint, right?
At this point, Blake knows she's losing, so what does she do? She tried to bury the evidence. Blake's team secretly pushed for an attorney's eyes only protection order, which would have meant that only lawyers, not even the judge, could see certain documents. Translation? She's hiding something so incriminating, so career-ending, that she's willing to bend the law itself to keep it secret. And when that failed, she allegedly tried to bribe her way out of the case. According to insiders, there were 100 million reasons why Blake's team was working so hard to make evidence disappear. Now, I'm no lawyer, but that sure sounds like a bribe. A 9-figure bribe. Imagine being so desperate to hide the truth that you're allegedly willing to throw $100 million at the problem. This isn't just a celebrity lawsuit gone wrong. This is judicial corruption territory. And Judge Lyman, he wasn't having it.
Okay, so I was able to read the amended complaint, which, by the way, it's very abnormal. It's almost 180 pages, 400 and some odd paragraphs. Complaints are not normally that long, but this one has to be for public consumption.
Blake thought she could throw money at the problem, push legal loopholes, and manipulate the system. But Judge Lyman shut her down immediately. He denied the protection order. He refused to let her team hide the evidence. And most importantly, he reminded everyone that the courts serve the public, not entitled celebrities who think they can buy justice. And the moment he did that, Blake's legal team panicked, because now she's out of options. Her PR strategy failed, her legal tricks failed, and her bribery attempt allegedly failed. And when someone like Blake runs out of power moves, that's when things really start to fall apart, because now Hollywood is starting to turn on her too.
So it kind of makes them look like they're trying to take that video now that it's out and kind of spin it in a different direction.
At first, Blake thought she could spin this lawsuit in her favor. She believed that with the right media coverage, industry connections, and PR moves, she could frame herself as the victim while completely destroying Justin Baldoni's reputation. But now, Hollywood is backing away from her, and fast. Because when a lawsuit starts to unravel this badly, when the lies start stacking up, and when the judge himself calls out the case as a media stunt, even the most powerful celebrities become a liability. And Blake Lively, she's quickly becoming one.
And that's why you think, like you mentioned before, that you think this video is the most damning evidence that Baldoni has so far.
I think so. And it's better than words.
Blake's legal team thought they had one last trick up their sleeve. They introduced 2 anonymous witnesses, women who supposedly had similar experiences with Justin Baldoni. The problem? They weren't listed in the lawsuit. Not their names, not their initials, not even a vague description. Just trust us, they exist. Now, ask yourself this. If these witnesses were so credible, why wouldn't they be included in the actual legal documents? Because everyone knows the answer. They aren't real. Even Hollywood journalists refused to cover it. Multiple media outlets flat out rejected the claims because they lacked credibility. And when even the entertainment press, which thrives on scandals, won't touch your accusations, you know it's complete nonsense. And here's where it gets really embarrassing. The Hollywood Reporter, which has been openly biased in Blake's favor, was forced to leak the story themselves. Why? Because no real news outlet wanted to put their name on it. At this point, Blake's PR team is struggling to get any support at all. The press isn't buying it, the public isn't buying it. And even Hollywood itself is growing tired of her. And it gets worse.
It seems insurmountable. It seems like this case cannot be settled.
With every legal trick failing, Blake's PR team was desperate to change the public narrative. So what did they do? They attacked Justin Baldoni for being too nice. Yes, you heard that right. Blake's team pushed a Los Angeles Times hit piece, accusing Baldoni of running a toxic positivity work environment, and the actual complaints they listed, he encouraged employees to sign emails with so much love. He donated clothes to homeless people and filmed it. That's it. That's the scandal. Imagine suing someone because their email etiquette was too friendly. What's next? Suing a barista for saying "have a great day" too cheerfully. The accusations were so ridiculous that even conservative commentator Candace Owens publicly dragged them, saying, "Imagine living in a world where you can sue someone for being too happy at work." At this point, Blake's case has turned into a joke, and the more desperate her team gets, the more obvious it becomes that they're losing. But behind the scenes, the situation is even worse, because now, even the people paid to defend her are trying to walk away.
Really what they did is they said, well, yes, all of that happened, but when Baldoni was in that scene dancing, he wasn't in character. And she was being forced to act as though she loved him, which is, in my mind, just acting.
Blake and Ryan were so desperate to clean up their self-inflicted mess that they hired former CIA agents to handle their PR crisis. Yes, actual intelligence operatives, not your standard Hollywood publicists, government-level cover-up specialists, same people who have buried national security scandals, orchestrated political spin campaigns, erased entire incidents from history. That's who they called in, and yet, even they couldn't fix this. That's how unfixable Blake's situation has become. But it gets worse, because even Leslie Sloan PR, one of Hollywood's most powerful damage control firms, reportedly tried to back out of working with them. Now, let's break that down. Leslie Sloan PR has handled some of the nastiest Hollywood scandals, helped celebrities bounce back from career-ending controversies, spun horrific reputations into comeback stories, and even they don't want to deal with Blake anymore. Do you understand how bad your situation has to be when your own PR firm quits on you? These are the people who get paid to clean up messes, and they're looking at Blake's lawsuit like, nope, this is beyond repair. At this point, Blake Lively is officially a lost cause. But now, she's about to drag Ryan Reynolds down with her.
Blake Lively had changed some stuff up in her amended complaint. Now she's describing that dancing scene very differently than she did in her first complaint.
Blake Lively thought she could spin this lawsuit into a win. She thought she could manipulate the media, control the narrative, and make Justin Baldoni the villain while walking away as the untouchable Hollywood star she's always pretended to be. But now, she's not just losing the case, she's losing her entire career. The press isn't buying her story. Hollywood is distancing itself from her. And worst of all, even her closest allies are walking away. But here's where things get really messy. Because Blake isn't going down alone. Ryan Reynolds, the man who built his entire career on being Hollywood's most likable star, is getting dragged right into the fallout. And now, even Marvel is watching closely.
Her testimony won't even count. And that is that's a harsh reality, because if the jury chooses not to listen to anything she has to say, she's the best witness in this case.
Blake and Ryan have spent months trying to bury this lawsuit. They've thrown money at the problem. They've hired CIA-level PR fixers. They've pushed media hit pieces to change the story, but nothing has worked. And now, they've been caught trying to suppress private messages from Taylor Swift. Now, let's pause for a second. Why would Blake and Ryan be terrified of Taylor's texts getting out? Because according to legal insiders, these messages likely expose major Hollywood corruption, proof that Blake and Ryan were pressuring executives, manipulating the case, and pulling strings behind the scenes. And the second they started fighting, to keep those texts hidden, they basically confirmed that whatever's in there is career-ending. Because if those messages actually proved Blake's innocence, wouldn't she be the first one demanding they go public? Instead, she and Ryan are desperately trying to block them from being seen. And if that doesn't scream guilty, I don't know what does.
I think this is like one of those cases that has enough of the bad feelings on both sides that it could potentially show up in the trial.
For years, Ryan Reynolds was untouchable. He wasn't just a successful actor, he was a brand, a media darling, a box office guarantee. But now, his wife's legal disaster is threatening to ruin everything. Marvel Studios, the same company that stood by Ezra Miller and Jonathan Majors through massive scandals, is now reportedly watching Ryan very closely. Because at the end of the day, Marvel cares about one thing: money. And if Ryan becomes a PR liability, they have no problem letting him go, which is exactly why Deadpool 3's marketing team is panicking right now. Because Ryan's biggest movie ever, his first project inside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is just months away from release. And the last thing Marvel wants? Blake Lively's PR disaster dragging down their billion-dollar movie?
That shifted the narrative, and she could have walked away and probably had a PR victory just off that document. Now, I think with the lawsuit going and both sides firing guns at each other, I think it's not going to get any better for either of them.
You want proof that Ryan knows this is bad for him? Just look at his social media. For years, his entire brand was built on sarcastic jokes about Blake, funny Instagram posts about their relationship, that whole "we're a relatable couple" thing. But now, radio silence. Not a single joke, not a single post, not a single mention of Blake anywhere. Ryan knows exactly what's happening. He's realizing that Blake's career isn't just crumbling, it's toxic. And now, he has to make a choice: stay by Blake's side and risk losing everything he's built, or start quietly distancing himself and pretend he had nothing to do with it. And so far, it looks like he's choosing option 2.
So they're trying to skew it kind of a different way.
Here's the thing, Blake Lively isn't being canceled. She's getting something much worse. She's being forgotten. Hollywood isn't fighting over her anymore. Studios aren't defending her. The press isn't trying to clean up her image. Instead, they've already moved on. Because here's the brutal truth. Hollywood doesn't need Blake Lively anymore. There's always a new it girl waiting to take her spot. There's always a new rising star to put on magazine covers. And when someone like Blake becomes more trouble than she's worth, the industry moves forward without her.
Because jurors are very bright, especially collectively. When they're all together, they all come from varied backgrounds. They're the smartest people in the room collectively, and they generally get the right result.
Blake spent years controlling her public image. She knew how to play the game. She knew how to spin the media. She knew how to keep Hollywood on her side. But the second her lies started to unravel, she lost everything. Now she's stuck in a lawsuit she can't win. Her PR moves aren't working anymore, and her once flawless reputation has completely collapsed. And now, the only person still clinging to Blake Lively's Hollywood fantasy is Blake herself. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so you'll be the first to get notified about the latest drama.